Want us to clock our time but not pay us? I worked at a call center for a company that handled customer service calls for a telecom provider. We used a timekeeping system called Kronos to clock in and out of work and break time. At one point, they started to round our clock out times to the time the call center queue closed, which meant that if we clocked out at 2015, changed from 2007 because it caused confusion, they would round it down to 20 o'clock. Often enough, we would have calls coming in at 1959 or 20 o'clock, which could easily go on for 5 to 15 minutes. After we talked to our management about this, and they refused to change the policy back, we started to log out at exactly 20 o'clock. This meant telling customers that we are now closed and to call back in the following morning. After 3 days, the policy was reversed, and we were also allowed to clock in 5 minutes before, so we could open up our systems. This is not the first story I've read similar to this. How do companies think it's okay to not pay someone for working? If you work a certain time, you pay the people who did the work. Nothing is for free. Get angry when I'm being kind to an elderly couple? Be prepared to wait in line until hell freezes over. On mobile, apologies in advance for formatting, etc. Just happened a few days ago, on the way to vacation with the family. The terminal agent calls for boarding. We get in line, my wife, 13-year-old daughter, 16-year-old son, and myself. We were somewhat near the front of the line, and it quickly grows to a couple hundred people. I see an elderly couple. Woman was using a cane, and both were slow moving, but they apparently didn't want to board during the assisted boarding time. I leaned out as they walked near me and asked if they would like to take our place in line. They looked a little surprised, but happily accepted. As I was helping them into the line, I hear some guy, about 5 people back, sighing and making comments under his breath. I was just about to leave the line and head to the back with my son when the couple behind us insisted we stayed. I told them it was no problem for us to go to the back, but they weren't having it. The sighing douche overheard our conversation and decided to interject. If he wants to leave, let him. Otherwise, he may as well let all the other old people cut in line. I look at this little toad, not even as big as my 13-year-old daughter. Images of me tossing him and his festering Napoleon complex into a trash can are dancing in my mind. Instead, I decide to give him what he asked for. I sent my son to the back of the line to find any elderly couple who were behind us. In a minute, he returned with a lovely couple, about 70. They slipped right into line. A moment later, he found 2 women traveling together, right into line. The couple behind us were almost in tears. Not sure if from laughter or just enjoyed watching a teen escort elderly people towards the front of the line. Napoleon Complex is having a silent tantrum as the line is going slowly, even without old line cutters. He walks from the line, complains to the agent, and boards immediately. Squeaky wheel got his grease after all. It took about 10 minutes for us to go through boarding check and enter the plane. It was 2 rows of 3 seats on that plane. As we near our row number, I realize my wife is supposed to sit opposite me in the same row as Napoleon Complex. I called an audible and she sat with the kids while I took the aisle seat with Napoleon Complex. He looked like he was going to pee in his pants and just stared out the window. I made sure it was the most uncomfortable 5-hour flight of his life. Strange how bullies never shut up until they're afraid. Although the guy does seem like a bit of a douche, at the same time, I kinda see where he's coming from, given the fact that you yourself said that the line was already taking a long time to go through, and then at the same time you're adding people consistently to said line. I mean, it's pretty understandable to be upset in that position. You want to pay the same wage as our company? Alrighty then. I hope this fits. I immediately thought of this sub while it went down. So I'm a journeyman electrician, and I work for a contracting company, doing maintenance for a large industrial company. I have experience doing some residential work, so sometimes I will do small side jobs for people I know to bring in some extra moolah. One day, one of the girls working in the office approached me about wiring up a bathroom she was finishing in her basement. Not a big deal, I thought. So I told her I could do it for $50 an hour plus material. A real bargain if you know how much good electrical can cost. She agreed, so the next weekend I had available, I did the job. After I finished the work, which only took about 8 hours and $100 in materials, because I used some stuff I had at home, I handed her the bill. She threw a fit, saying, "But so-and-so company pays you less. I'll only pay what so-and-so company pays your company." I tried to explain that she doesn't realize what she's saying, but she wouldn't let me finish. I made sure she was absolutely sure and adjusted my price. She figured that because my company only pays me $36 an hour, her company only pays my company $36 an hour for my services. She was obviously mistaken because that doesn't make sense with the extra cost of insurance, licensing, and benefits. Her company actually pays around $80 an hour for my services. So I adjusted the bill. The old bill was roughly $500. The new bill was $750. She was livid. She tried to retract on me, but her husband had overheard and made her pay the new bill. He was a good guy. He knew she was digging herself a hole and wanted her to learn a lesson. Not a huge loss for her, but it certainly put her in her place. She ignores me at work now, but her husband said I'll be the go-to guy for any small electrical jobs him and his buddies may have. So this lady thought, yeah, sure, I'll agree to $50, and then when the work is done, I'll turn around and lowball them. Some people are just a real piece of work in this world, I swear. Well, you can't say you didn't know where to find me. So this happened about 3 years ago. It's more accidental malicious compliance, but we will see how you guys find it. So for context, I was working in the complaints department of my debt management company in the UK. We had over 800 employees, but it was kind of run like a mom and pop store in terms of its mentality. So everyone really did odd jobs as well as their designated roles. So to the compliance part. The company spent a fair bit of money on this fancy new intranet system. They wanted every member of staff to have a profile on this to help them build relationships internally. And this included your location in the building. Now the complaints team never dealt face-to-face with employees. Whenever we got complaints come through the phones, we'd get the call transferred to us and take care of everything from there. No one ever came to us, met us, or needed to find us. Our office could have been in another country, and no one would be any the wiser, nor would it have impacted anything. I didn't bother filling in my profile as a result. It was fiddly and not very intuitive. Would have taken me 30 minutes to do, and frankly, when trying to help people in debt, I'd rather spend that time helping someone than filling out a silly form for no reason. Plus, we'd moved location in the building 3 times in the last 6 months. So why put in my location knowing I'd have to update it a few weeks later when we move again? Management asked me a few times to update it, and each time I explained it was a bit of a waste of my time to update the details given no one ever needs to come find me, and I'd rather help our customers. Eventually, after a few weeks of this, they basically just told me to do it. No exceptions. Okay, fair enough. If you want me to do it so badly, I'll put my location on my profile. So being a petty person, I updated my location to Evergreen Building, 2nd floor, turn left at the stairs, go through the double doors, and walk for 7 meters. Table number 5, perpendicular to the window, north facing, opposite Sandra, between the hours of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., big chair. And then added the longitude and latitude coordinates. I thought it was pretty funny, and it was probably the most accurate location on the entire intranet. Well, 4 weeks later, the company were doing some major updates to the intranet over the weekend for some project they were doing. From what I understand, the update included a patch/code that would prevent people entering too many letter characters into their personal profile fields. Given that there were 800 plus employees, they didn't want too much info clogging up the systems. Problem was, the update would crash or break every time they tried to implement it because there was already a profile that didn't mesh with the new rules. My profile. They had to call out someone externally from the company they leased the intranet software from to make a manual change to my profile details so they could finish this important update, costing the company thousands in emergency call-out fees. Management brought it to my attention and admitted that whilst they could see I was only trying to be funny, to just not put my location on there in the future, given how much it cost. My response? Why didn't they just ask me to edit my profile rather than calling out someone from the software company? Clearly you knew where to find me. They gave 800 people the ability to type whatever they want on their profile and didn't give themselves the ability to censor or control any of it? To be honest, they're lucky that this guy's malicious compliance is the extent of all that happened. It could have been a lot worse. Stand there and look pretty? Got it. So I used to work as a rep for a designer label to upscale boutiques in malls and such. Mostly my job consisted of pitching new lines to the boutiques and making sure orders were satisfied in a timely manner. A key part of the job was that I personally had to sign for shipments from our label, as I was the only one authorized to sign shipments at this location, and HR was extremely strict on this rule. Well, I'm on site with a boutique and have a higher-up from corporate with me to premiere a new line of summer wear. It's supposed to be an exclusive to the boutique for the entire season for a 45% price increase. This estimated to about $2 million added profits for the season. The day for the shipment comes, and I'm coordinating with the corporate rep and the boutique owner for how much product to be put on the floor, since we rented a percentage of their floor space. Me and the corporate rep disagree on the numbers. He wants much higher floor volume for this single product line than me. I make sure to remind him we have multiple lines we want to sell, and he tells me to just stand there and look pretty. Don't even move. I just tell him, all right, and let him finish the discussion. Shipment comes. Shipping company can't be on the sales floor where I'm standing. Nobody is there to receive the shipment since the corporate rep thought I was receiving, so the shipper leaves after 15 minutes. Corporate rep comes and asks why the product isn't on the floor. I inform him he instructed me not to move, so I missed the shipment. Company has to reschedule shipment and pay for the missing shipment, and has only last season's product to put on the floor until the new shipment. I think this is the level of pettiness each and every one of us strives to obtain. Very well done. Alright guys, that's gonna wrap it up for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and like usual, if you're new around here and you like what you heard, consider subscribing. And if you really liked it, maybe give it a thumbs up and a share. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.